Let's talk about the Commanders. I know this isn't exactly breaking news because the branding came out a long time ago, but we're in the season. It's starting to settle in, starting to be a real thing. So let's talk about it. What are your initial thoughts? We'll get to the name in a little bit. What are your thoughts about the visual branding that they released for the Commanders?
The logo is just okay. It's like it's just a W. Let's first start with the fact that it's just racist, and anybody who says it's not, just I'm not going to even indulge in that type of like foolish argument.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into the explanation of why this was such a terrible name, but if you don't know, if you don't find anything offensive about their former name, just go look it up. Just look at the origins of that term, and hopefully you'll be horrified and stop saying that they should have never changed. Okay, so let's just move on from that.
But the thing about it is, like, we see it with mascots. It's like when you get a certain type of mascot, like people can relate more to the brand. And I think that's part of the appeal of using a face, so it's like, even like now, when I look at Washington and I'm like, the name is cool, but there's nothing else that really is attaching like some type of feeling to the brand, because I mean, really, it is at this point, it's brand new. It's like you have to start a whole new history, and you don't really have like an engaging logo, in my opinion. It's not much different than what they had when it was just a Washington football team. It's just, but the colors though, like their color schemes, I think are spot on. Like I actually like their uniforms. I like the look and feel and the color palettes that they chose. It's just I don't feel like the symbol of the brand really speaks to being Commanders.
Yeah, here are my thoughts. First, there's the colors. That was a really smart move. They kept the burgundy and gold. One, it's a really strong color palette, but two, it is acknowledging that there is a very long history of this team. They've been around for a while.
I think like 90 years.
Right, 90 years, established 1932. So it is something of a heritage brand. And so they're not completely throwing everything out. There's no need to throw out the colors. So there is some brand continuity there. And it's just a strong color palette anyway. So I like that they've kept that. As for the main logo, the W, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. It's just, it's not exciting. And I think people were expecting exciting from this. At the same time, does the logo for an NFL team need to be super exciting and action-packed? Not necessarily. Look at something like the Green Bay Packers. It's a G in an oval. Is that a fantastic logo? Not necessarily, but it's a very successful franchise. Green Bay has a huge fan base. They have several Super Bowls, and whether it's a great logo or not, the brand has grown around it. And so that very well could happen with Washington if they are winning Super Bowls again. People are going to want to wear the W because of what it stands for. Right now, it doesn't necessarily stand for a lot, as it's a new brand, and it's going to get more behind it as the brand grows, if they grow the right way.
Yeah, and see, that's the problem I have with it. Is it's just fine. It's like, it feels to me like we just did it because we have to do it. Like that's the feeling I get when I see it. It's big, it's bulky. It doesn't feel like, wow, we really put a lot of energy and effort into making sure that the logo stands out. And it just feels like, well, we need to put something out there, so just throw a W up.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that very well could have been the mindset. I mean, when you look at the word mark now, the piece that actually says Commanders, that looks pretty bland, honestly, for an NFL team. Now, I have no problem with a clean sans serif font, but this is not a corporation. This is a football team, and you're supposed to get people excited about it. And this doesn't get people too excited. I think it's it just kind of blends in. It says what the name of the team is, but it just doesn't say a lot else. I mean, if you're just going to find a typeface, at least customize it, stylize it a little bit so that it is ownable. And it looks kind of like they did that a little bit with the C and the S, but doesn't look like they did that anywhere else. I just think they could have done so much more with that word mark. And then finally, as for the crest, I love the idea of a crest for an NFL team. You don't really see that, but I'm not thrilled with the execution. It just looks cluttered. It's a little confusing as to why there's 3 stars. Now, normally stars, at least in soccer, on their crests, a star indicates a championship. The 3 stars, is that supposed to be the Super Bowl wins that they have? I don't know, because they have 3 Super Bowls, but they also have 2 other championships pre-NFL merger. But the weird thing is, even though they have 3 stars, they have 5 championship years wrapped around the bottom of the crest. I don't know. I just think it could have been done better. Again, I love the idea of it. It speaks to the heritage brand feel that I think they were going to, which is really smart, because there were a lot of people who didn't want to change the name, and usually for racist reasons, and screw them. There are some people who are just straight up opposed to change just because they don't like change. And well, too bad, this needed to change. But they do have to acknowledge that this is a brand that has been around for almost a century. And like I mentioned, with maintaining the colors, they should do a little something else to keep the heritage feel while getting rid of the problematic elements. And a crest is a great way to bring in a heritage vibe to a brand. I just am not thrilled with the execution.
I feel like this is a classic situation of management. Like we talk about this with branding, that a lot of times that a brand takes on the personality of the owners. And it's like Dan Snyder, if you know anything about this man, his character is pretty questionable. I mean, the stuff that has come out about him, that has been proven about him, and even how he handled this whole situation with the name. I mean, he was defiant the whole time. He acted, in my opinion, pretty childish about this whole situation, and it comes off in the brand. If we're moving in this direction as an organization, let's embrace it. Let's get our fans excited about this new direction, and let's own it. Instead of it just feels again like people are just trying to cancel us, and that's the only reason that I'm even changing my logo to begin with. And it's like, okay, well, one, you're really missing the message if that's your energy behind changing the name. And second, now that you are going in this direction, why not get the fan base super excited about this? Why not own it? Why not just say, you know what, guys, this is what it is. Let's get excited about it. Let's have fun with it. We have so much rich tradition with being an organization that's been around for so long. We could play off of those traditions. We can have a lot of fun with the logos and the crest and the color palettes. Like, let's really get the fan base engaged in what we're doing. And then I think everything would have been different.